everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Charlotte if you're new, and if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. So today's video I am really excited about and loved filming. I'm doing a get ready with me / girl talk video. I asked over my Instagram for girl talk topics. I said you can ask me about anything, whether it's friendships, relationships, sex, contraception, periods, anything. Ask me anything you want. This is a complete girl talk video, so maybe a slight disclaimer if any of the topics that I've just mentioned offend you, or are things that you're not interested in, or things are going to get too graphic or too much information, you don't want to hear about those sorts of things, please do not watch this video and just go and watch something else, because this is a place where we're going to have open and honest conversations. People have sent me in questions or scenarios that they're genuinely wanting to know the answer to, and I have opened the door to answering them openly and honestly. So yes, this is today's video where I've done this look and answered your questions. Let's get into today's video. So toxic friends, don't need them, don't want them, don't have the time for them. How do I tell the guy I'm dating that I have a criminal record? And say you've been together a long time, you're just like, this is boring, farting while shagging. Right, so I've already done my eyebrows because I thought it would just take me way too long for me to sit and chat through me doing my eyebrows. But I'm going to start by just putting on a bit of a base, and then we'll get into the first question. So first question, whilst I'm just rubbing in my primer, is how to get over a breakup. Now I feel as though I can't really say how to get over a breakup because I've never gone through actual heartbreak. I've gone through breakups, and at the time, don't get me wrong, I thought I was heartbroken, but looking back, I really wasn't, because I'd say I've only ever been in love, like deep love, once, which is with my boyfriend that I'm with now. So for me to start saying, well, this is what I did, I think probably I can't really say. But in terms of what I would think to do is to just completely just find yourself again, because what I find and what I have found from other people is that they get so involved, so invested in their relationship, which rightfully people do get really involved in their relationship and throw themselves completely in it, but they do that and lose themselves. I think all too often people forget about themselves when they're in their relationship. So when it comes to breaking up, they're like, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what it is that I like. I don't know, what to do without having that person there. So I think really after a breakup, that is your time to be completely and utterly selfish. I think it kind of depends maybe how long you were together about how I'd approach certain things. If you were together for really quite a while, I would say, give it a bit of time before you start rushing into the next relationship. By all means, talk to people, have a bit of a flirt with people on the online, like dating apps, or people that you may have gone to school with and you got back in contact with. But I wouldn't say straight away get back out there and try and find the next relationship, because even though some people say the best way to get over people is to get under people, I think sometimes, yes, the best way to get over somebody is to sort of move on in that sense. But I think that just kind of gets rid of, like, okay, I've had sex with somebody that wasn't my ex, like I've moved on in that sense. But in terms of emotional, how to get over a breakup, I would say time, which is really hard and it sucks because it's not a quick fix, it's not an easy answer, but genuinely time is the greatest healer. And yeah, allow yourself time, be selfish, do all the things that you want to do, make plans, see your friends. Yes, you've probably ignored your friends a little bit, and some friends might be like, no, just because you've broken up, like, don't come running to me now. I get that, but now is your time to be selfish. Do everything that you want to do. That's not to say if you're in a relationship you shouldn't be selfish and do those things. I think sometimes when you're in a relationship you have to consider the other person. Now that you're single, you don't have to consider anybody else but you, what you like to do, and just live life selfishly for a little bit and just enjoy that before you start thinking about moving on. So how to get over a breakup: time ultimately. Be selfish, do things you enjoy, make plans, be busy, but also allow yourself time. Set aside, depends how long you're together, like I said, but set aside time to be sad and to cry. Because if you just allow yourself to think, fuck it, like I'm over it, I don't care about him anymore, eventually you'll be like, have a bit of a breakdown, think, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not over it. So that's what I would say. So the next question somebody's asked is tips for shaving down there. So I would say, and this is just my advice, you don't need to be doing it every week, do you? I mean, everyone has their preferences as to whether they like to be fully shaven or not, or, you know, waxed. Obviously, waxing is a bit harder at the minute because everywhere is closed. But the first thing I would say about tips is that allow yourself to have time for your hair to grow enough so when you shave it, it isn't extremely sore, itchy, irritable, ingrown hairs. If you're shaving like every single week because you feel like you have to if you have a boyfriend, one, I don't think that's a particularly healthy mindset or relationship to be in. If you feel as though, you know, if you have a bit of hair, that you're not going to be as attractive. And I know that everyone has their preferences and what they prefer, and that is completely fine. But give yourself time for the hair to actually grow back before you start shaving it off and it gets really irritable again. And then you just end up with loads of ingrown hairs and shaving irritations and rashes. So my first tip would be to allow yourself time for it to grow back enough for you to shave. I do exfoliate, so I do a little scrub, maybe use a conditioner or a shaving foam, and then some sort of like non-fragranced moisturizer afterwards is what I would say in terms of tips for shaving. And somebody else then said about toxic friends. Now, I did say this is going to be a girl talk, ask me anything. And friendships is also obviously like a massive part of girls and their relationships is friendships. And I have had my fair share of toxic friendships. And I have spoken about this on my channel before in another Chats with Charlie. All about toxic friends and how I dealt with that. So if you want a more in-depth answer, I'd definitely say go and check out that video. But in terms of toxic friends, how to deal with them, I think you just get to a point where you realise the types of people that you really want and need in your life. And I don't know whether that comes with age, but it certainly has with me. The older that I've got, the more I've realised the types of friends I want and need in my life. I don't want people that are hard work, that I feel have to justify why I've made certain choices. I just want friendships to be easy, and a toxic friend to me is when they make the friendship hard. I don't want friends that ignore you, or you know, you feel scared to tell them something in case they react in a wrong way. So toxic friends, don't need them, don't want them, don't have the time for them. In terms of how to deal with them, I mentioned quite a few things in that video, my toxic friend video, but to summarize, I basically said that it depends what kind of friendship you want to keep with that person. Do you want to keep a friendship with that person for a start? If you do, then maybe have a conversation with them about the things that you find toxic about this friendship and maybe try and give them a chance to resolve that. So I would suggest having a talk with them so they can try and resolve the issues that you're finding in this friendship. If that doesn't work, I would say maybe try distancing yourself for a little bit, see if they notice. Because I always think that is a really important thing in friendships, and you realise when things are slightly one-sided, when you take a step back and you realise, oh, we've not spoken for ages. Things like that. Distance yourself, see what they say. But if the conversation isn't resolved from you saying, hey, I really don't think you realise you're doing this, but you're doing certain things that make me feel this certain way, then maybe if they don't want to resolve that, then you've got to have, I'd say, reevaluate whether you want that friend in your life. Then, how do I tell the guy I'm dating that I have a criminal record, brackets drink driving? Ultimately, you've got to look at things such as Are you looking at this guy that you're dating to be someone that you are long term thinking about becoming your partner, your boyfriend, and this is a long term relationship? Because if you are, eventually those sorts of things are going to come out and it becomes important. If this is just somebody where you're not sure how it's going to go, are you looking for something long term? Are they looking for something long term? Do you see that with that person? But if you don't, I really don't think there's any point you bringing it up and feeling embarrassed or ashamed about it, because if you don't see those future long term plans with this person, what is the point in you feeling embarrassed or anything by bringing it up if you don't see the relationship going in that way? And if you do, have an honest and open conversation with that person. If they don't understand, then they're not meant to be in your life. Get rid. And if they do, great. So a really short answer, but I would just say evaluate what sort of relationship you're wanting to get out of it with this guy that you're dating. If it's long term, yes, you do need to have a conversation, because I think it's important to be honest. And eventually, somehow, it will come up, and you know the later down the line that it comes up when you're together, the more of a problem it will become. And I know that's, a lot easier said than done to just be like, oh, hey, by the way, I've got a criminal record. But that's what I would say, is that if it's more long term, then yeah, you need to bring it up. If not, what is the point in just getting yourself upset and embarrassed, maybe? I just don't think there's any point in doing that. So yeah, evaluate what sort of relationship you think you're going to get out of this. Then we've got, do you know anyone that has come off the pill successfully / pill side effects? Anyone that's come off the pill? I personally cannot think of anybody straight away that comes to mind that has come off the pill, but I think that's because where I am in my life and where my friends are is that none of us are, that I know of, are actively trying to, well, this is what I think about straight away. None of us are trying to have children, so we've got no reason necessarily to come off contraception. I know not everybody comes off because they're trying for a baby. Sometimes contraception doesn't work for certain people and they have to come off and try no contraception for the female, and the male just uses condoms when you have sex. I personally don't know anybody that isn't on any kind of contraception at all and just uses like condoms, for example. So I can't speak from, do I know anybody that's successfully come off it? No, I don't. And I don't know the side effects of them doing that. So it's kind of a rubbish answer because I don't have an answer. But I do have somebody that asked, are you on any contraception currently and have you had any side effects? So let me just do this wing and then I'll come back and answer, because I cannot talk and do an eyeliner wing. Okay, so I'm back. So I am on contraception. I have been on the pill where you don't have a period at all. I think it's called Cerazette, or maybe that's the brand. But I'm on the pill where you don't have a period. And I have been on the same pill for 6 years. Yeah, for 6 years. So I've been on the same pill for 6 years and I've never had any side effects. I've always had positive experiences. The only worry that I have is that being on that pill and never having a period does make me paranoid for things such as pregnancy, because I wouldn't know I'm pregnant until I'm either quite far gone or I'm not sure. I'm not sure when I would know. So I do get paranoid because I don't have that telltale sign of like, oh, I missed my period. That's weird. Of being like, oh, could I be? Like, do I need to take a test? So I love the pill that I'm on because I've saved loads of money not buying tampons. But it does also make you slightly paranoid about the what ifs. But I've never had any side effects or bad experiences with being on that pill. I know it's not the most common one. I think people tend to go on the one there where you do have periods. I know there's a lot of people saying, or that had said to me before, oh, is that like healthy? Is that normal to not have a period? But with the pill I'm actually on, basically, or with the other pill where you do have a period, you're not having an actual period. Your body is kind of releasing the, not an egg, it's like your body is having a fake period, if that makes sense. Because I asked my nurse when I have my checkups for my pill, am I okay to be on this? Is this going to affect my fertility? It's as healthy to not have a period, but it's as healthy as when you're on the pill where you do have like a week's break and you have a period, because you're not having an actual normal period, a normal bleed, you're not ovulating, it's your body is having like a fake period. So that's the contraception that I am on, and I've never had any side effects from it. So I'm going to prime my face. And the next question somebody's asked is, how do you keep the spark in your long-term relationship? So like I've mentioned, I've been in my relationship with my current boyfriend Lewis for 5 years, and this is we're on our 6th year. It'll be our 6th year this year. How do I keep the spark? What I would say is we keep the spark by, as silly as it sounds, you keep the spark by remembering that you are also individual people in this relationship. I think it's very easy, like I mentioned before, when you are in a relationship, to sort of morph into the same person, where you have the same interests, the same hobbies, the same friends, you do everything together. And don't get me wrong, when you first get together, of course you're going to do everything together. It's new, it's a new relationship. But I think the key to having a longer term relationship is that you have your own interests and your own hobbies, your own things that you're interested in. Because if you don't, you end up irritating each other, I think, because you're always around each other, there's no break, you've got nothing to talk about because you do everything together. So I think the key to having that spark is that to remember that you are your own two people. Yes, you're in a relationship, but you need to have your own interests and own things and own friends as well. Um, I love having joint friends, but I also need time with my own friends. So I think the key to having that spark is, one, to remember that you are two individuals in this relationship and to have your own stuff going on, but also to really communicate with each other and find ways of communicating that is healthy for you both. To ultimately just be best friends. That's honestly all I can say, because that is how I feel. Like, if I have something going on in my life and I need a somebody to talk to, it is always Lewis. Yes, I have my friends, but ultimately, if I have a problem and I want to talk to somebody about it, he is the first person I go to. And I think it's been hard in the pandemic because there isn't that escape that you could get in normal life, where, you know, every now and again you do need a break from your partner. It's healthy to have time apart. Like I was saying, your own two individual people, um, it's healthy to have your own interests and to have time apart and to do your own things. So I will always encourage Lewis to go out with his friends, to say yes to things, to do things just him and the boys. Likewise, you know, it's healthy for me to do things with the girls, just me and the girls. Have that time away, that time apart, because when we do have that time apart, we just miss each other and we can't wait to get back together. But then you have things to talk about. Um, and then, like I say, you get excited for when you see each other again. So I think really for me, I think the key, that big boy spot, the key to having that spark in the relationship is also to keep on working at it. You know, it doesn't just, you're not in the honeymoon stage for years and years. It's to keep working at it, to communicate to one another, and to also have your own hobbies, your own interests, your own stuff going on, and to also remember from time to time it is important to take time apart. And it doesn't need to, you know, be that you've had a big argument and that's why you're having time apart. It could just be that, you know, you've been in a global pandemic with each other for about a year and you're sick of each other. Not sick in terms of like you need to get away from each other like that. It's just healthy again. Like I said, it's healthy to have time apart. So in that sort of sense. So that's all I can say in terms of keeping that spark. And we've always been really honest and open with each other. Jealousy is not something which is in our relationship, because we communicate. So, yeah, that's what I would say. So, next problem and scenario. Somebody said, help, my best friends and I have drifted over lockdown. The communication is all one sided. So, I briefly touched on this when I was talking about toxic friends. Um, I think you could have a couple of opinions and have a couple of approaches when it comes to this sort of thing about people drifting during lockdown, during the pandemic. Part of me is like, well, yeah, it's been a global pandemic. People have had other things, other priorities, and I completely get that. I understand that not everybody's first port of call is to message their friends. And like I said, people have had other bigger things going on. Some people are working, some people aren't. So I think, like for me, for example, I've been on furlough. So I naturally do feel it more when my friends haven't messaged me as much as we would normally because I'm not really doing anything. So like I said, I do feel it more when I don't have that communication with friends because um, I'm not doing much else. And of course, I get it. People are busy. People have their own lives, and that's um, what's important for me in a friendship is not to have friends that are really, really needy. And if you don't speak to them every day, they're not going to fall out with you because they get it. You're busy. There's been a pandemic. But what I would say in terms of, we're drifting, we're not speaking as much, is to I think it's easy just to say, like, I'm not going to message them until they message me. I'm taking a step back until they realise. They're not going to realise because, like I said, they're busy. They're not going to realise how you're feeling unless you tell them. And if this really is your best friend, they're going to understand. And you just need to communicate more. And perhaps they didn't even realise that you felt like this or that you've been missing them. Ultimately, this is why you feel like this. You are missing them, you've been missing that communication, you want to make sure they're okay, and have that bit of normality of that talk and the relationship with that friend back. So I would say just speak to them, tell them that you miss them, you want to talk more, but you understand that if they're busy, that's fine. But I get that it's difficult for friendships to have that same level of consistency, especially if you're not in the same area as each other, to have that same closeness and consistency if you've not seen each other for so long. But definitely reach out because that would be a shame to lose a friendship when it didn't need to be lost. So just going to have a little bit of a break from the questions and just chat to you guys just for a little, just in between some of these questions. I would love to know what you're all up to this weekend or what you've been up to because this will go up on a Sunday. So I'd love to know what you've been up to this weekend. What have you done? My plans for the weekend are very, very chilled. I am in work actually on Sunday for just for a couple of hours, which will be my first shift in like 5 months. So yes, I'm feeling a bit nervous and a bit anxious about it. But my other plans are so it's Friday tonight when I'm filming. Me and Lewis are gonna go really crazy and go to M&S just to pick up a couple of bits because I've seen that they're doing a Connie the Caterpillar for Mother's Day. So we're going to get that for Lewis's mum, and obviously pick up some Percy Pigs because how can you not go to M&S and get Percy Pigs? So we're going to pick up those, have a bit of a browse. But this is a night out for me, basically, going to M&S, like living it up. So that's what I'll be up to this weekend. Saturday, I think we're getting some kebabs. I am going to watch season 3 of Marcella because I did not know there was a season 3 of Marcella. And yeah, go to work on Sunday morning and then chill for the rest of the day. So that's my plan to this weekend. When you're watching this, like I said, The weekend will basically be over. It'll be 5 o'clock on Sunday, and you'll be thinking, oh God, I've got work Monday. Or if you haven't, you'll be thinking, well, it's just another day for me, because I know that's what I'll be thinking. So while I set my foundation, I'm going to answer another question. So what we've got, I found a lockdown love online and was wondering what we should do for our first date. I mean, some people have found lockdown relationships. I mean, questionable, you found lockdown love. I mean, if it's online, you've not met, fair enough. But I mean, people have found and got into relationships during lockdown. Um, but in terms of a first date idea, what you can do when you come out, I would say obviously a picnic, because when we're coming out it'll be spring going into summer. I love picnics. I always think they're a good idea. I mean, food, I'm such a massive foodie, so anything food related is always going to be a good idea. And just picky bits as well, because then you're not worried about, you know, things going everywhere all over your face. Like if it's just picky bits, it's fine. Maybe you could do like a bit of a shop together, or you get some bits, he gets some bits, or she, you know. um and you do it that way, so you sort of share getting the food. Do I say picnic, or and what else could you do other than going for walks? Because I assume maybe you maybe gone for a walk together. Um, Picnic, walks. What else can you really do? I can't really think of what else you would do other than like outdoor activities. But in terms of first dates, when things go back to normal, I'd love crazy golf as a first date idea. Um, what else? I'm trying to think like what people would do normally, because we haven't been able to do that for so long. My first date, I mean, if you've seen my How I Met My Boyfriend video in our first date, I would not recommend going to the club as your first date, but go for drinks and stuff. Maybe go for a nice meal, something like that. Go for a coffee, even. Like, it doesn't have to be going out and drinking. You could just grab a coffee together and keep it casual, or go grab a coffee and go for a walk in a park and have a picnic and tie it all together. So that's what I'd say in terms of some first date ideas. I think that's really cute that you've managed to like have a positive out of lockdown and find a lockdown love. I think that'd be a really cute story to tell people. So add a bit of blush. And what we've got next, what's your biggest turn offs and ons? Turn offs, bad breath, bad manners, selfish people. Turn ons, selflessness, someone that's funny. I'm trying to think what I love about my boyfriend, which is basically just that he's selfless and that he's funny, and he's like a best friend all rolled into one. So yeah, I would just say that. The next one is a juicy one, and this is one about sex, and it says, want to spice up my sex life by adding toys, but scared what my boyfriend will think. Introduce the idea slowly, because it might be at first, I can understand that at first it'd be like, whoa, this is like crazy. So start off with something that isn't so overbearing. So start off maybe with a bullet or a cock ring or something like that. Something that isn't, or maybe even something not even actually toy related. Maybe start with something simple like a blindfold or nice lingerie or mood lighting, because you know, if you go straight in for the toys, that could be like, whoa, what do we do? You can build up gradually by adding things that make like spice it up in other ways, like the atmosphere. So nice candles, mood lighting, underwear, blindfolds, those sorts of things they can add to the feelings of everything just as much as toys could. But if you're scared about what he would think, I think you have to be honest with each other. If you're two adults that are wanting to have sex together, and say you've been together a long time, you're just like, this is boring, very vanilla, spice it up. Have a conversation and say, I think we should spice it up. Why don't we look together? Because if you're looking together and you're picking something else, it's something you both like, you've both chosen, And how could it go wrong because you've both picked it? Or if you're scared of what he thinks and you really don't want to bring it up, maybe just buy something, and whilst you're in the moment, say, oh, I've got a little surprise, get it out, see how he reacts, and maybe do it that way. But I can understand if you've never used anything like that before, to then start introducing it and being like, whoa, this is scary, to be a bit scared of what he would think. So yeah, either have a conversation or bring it up whilst you're already in the mood, or it doesn't have to go straight in with toys. Start by building up the atmosphere and the ambiance in other ways. So it looks as if we've got 2 more questions to answer, and then that is this video wrapped up. So I'm going to do my makeup, come back, and then we'll finish off by answering those 2 questions, and that is the girl talk done. So the second to last thing that I've got to answer is somebody's literally just said farting while shagging. Completely normal. Air gets in places, air needs to come out of places. That's all I'm going to say about that. And just like that, I am completely ready, and I've got my last, I think it's actually a scenario, to answer or to give my thoughts on. So it reads, me and my boyfriend have been absolutely fine recently, but he has had a girlfriend who has recently broke up with her boyfriend. Wait, hold on. Me and my boyfriend have been fine. Me and my boyfriend have been absolutely fine recently, but he has had a girlfriend. Right, okay. So me and my boyfriend have been absolutely fine recently, but he has had a girlfriend who has recently broke up with her boyfriend. My boyfriend and the girl seem to be hanging out a lot more than normal at the minute. Any advice to not look like the crazy chick, but get her to back off a little? This is tough. The whole boyfriend and girlfriend, having guy friends and girlfriends, I think will always be a topic that people are a little bit touchy about. My personal opinion, before I talk about the scenario, about girls having guy friends, guys having girlfriends, is that I mean, when I met my boyfriend, he had girlfriends that were there before I come along. So I have no right in that sense to come along and say, you can't be friends with them anymore, because he was friends with them before he even met me. So it really is not my place to come over and say, look, you cannot be friends with them. If you get to know those friends, you get to see how your boyfriend is. Is your boyfriend a flirty person? Are they quite flirty? My boyfriend is not a flirty person, and the girl friends that he had were friends that he'd had for many, many years. So I had no reason to be jealous, because if anything was going to happen, surely it would have happened. In terms of instances where he's had a girlfriend who's recently broke up with her boyfriend, and then the boyfriend and the girlfriend have been hanging out a lot more. Like I said before, I'm not a jealous person, and jealousy is not something that has ever come into my relationship with Lewis, because he's never given me a reason to be. I've never given him a reason to be. But if he all of a sudden had this girlfriend that I was wary of anyway, and they started hanging out them two quite a lot, I would be curious, to be honest, if that was me, as to the nature of why they were hanging out, where they were hanging out, in what sense, what sort of friendships do they have. Is it a type of friendship where she's always messaging him, always calling him, she really relies on him, and they're going, I mean, let's say COVID isn't a thing, so they were going out for drinks together, and there wasn't even a mention of other people coming along, and it was just them two. Then I'd be like, does she like you in that way? Like, I'd say to my boyfriend, does, like, let's say her name is Sean, or like, does Sean like you in that way? Do you get the vibe that she is looking at you in a certain way, or is this purely friendship? If I have no reason to doubt my boyfriend, then I would trust him. You would just have to trust that that is a platonic friendship and relationship. There's nothing there. But I must admit, I'd be a little bit wary in terms of getting her to back off without looking like the crazy chick. Honestly, I would just try and talk to my boyfriend about things and just get an idea of who this girl is, why they're hanging out, what's the nature of their relationship. And if I felt uneasy, I would let him know, look, I really don't mean to come across as that psycho, jealous girlfriend. But there is something that makes me feel a little bit uneasy about Sian always wanting to hang out with you and she's just split up with her boyfriend. It just seems a little bit off with me. Would you mind if next time you were to meet up, if I was to come along or if we had other people that was to come along, mutual friends? I think if you was to actually see how them two are, see what the girl is like, maybe it might put your mind at rest in terms of what sort of person you're dealing with. If I went along and seeing that Sian and Lewis, let's say, were really, really friendly, overly friendly, then I would have a problem with it because then I think she's got alternative motives. If it was like completely friends, nothing to worry about, then you would just have to leave it. If you've been given the opportunity to see their friendship, see what it's like, there's literally nothing there at all, then don't worry. But it's hard because I've never actually been in that situation where I've felt jealous and been given a reason to feel jealous and then had to have the conversation and say, look, this makes me feel uncomfortable. Quite honestly, I don't know how I'd approach it, but I think if I had to, those are the types of ways that I would do it. I would invite myself along to see what it's like. I would hope my boyfriend would want me to come along to give me reassurance that this is just a friendship, nothing to worry about. And if he's then being secretive, like does not want me to come along at all, then I'd be like, okay, she was giving me reason to worry and now you are, so, and then I'd have to deal with it in a different way. So that would be my advice for that. So that is all of the questions. I just want to say first off, thank you so much to everybody that asked me a question. I really appreciate it. And I've really loved answering them. I love watching girl talk videos, and would love to start doing more of these types of videos on my channel, because they are conversations that I have very often in my everyday normal life. I'm very open when it comes to relationships, friendships, sex, periods, contraception. Those kinds of things are very open conversation that I have with my friends, and I think they're also topics that need to bring awareness for certain things. I think it would be a good place for me to use this little platform I have to talk about things where people might feel they don't have a somebody or a place that they can openly speak about it or hear these types of opinions, because I think you can too often get sucked into what you think sex should look like or relationships should look like or friendships should be on social media, and then you hear maybe a slightly different version of it here and you think, oh okay, it was normal, or maybe it was not so normal. So thank you so much if you asked me a question. I genuinely really appreciate it and have enjoyed doing it. Other than that, give this video a big like, leave me a comment if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more girl chats, because I would definitely be up for doing more and maybe more about certain types of topics. So one just on friendships or just on relationships or sex or any of those sorts of things. I would love to do more in-depth conversations and to get topics like that rolling on my channel. Other than that, make sure to check me out on Instagram and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye guys.